St. Lucia, this is Open Mic, and we're now back to the second segment of our program. When we left off, Cuthbert was giving me his views as to what action should really be taken in light of all what is going on. If many of St. Lucians today probably are too young to understand that when St. Lucia was a colony, a number of police were brought in from Barbados, and foreign commissions were brought in, and St. Lucians were sent abroad, and the British had their reasons for that. But as time went along, we all felt, it's our country, St. Lucian should be in charge. And I am strongly of the opinion that St. Lucian people are very capable of taking that into consideration. But by the same token, we need to understand the reasoning the British had when they were doing that. So, on that score, I'm going to ask Cuthbert to highlight his views on that subject.
You see, on that matter, let us look at where we come. Our system of police is based on the British system of policing. And they're the ones who really started here in the early days and all. And a lot of our training, even some of our senior officers today, and I'll also mention to you that even today, the police college at Bramshill, police officers from all over the world go to that police institution, because they realize that there, when it comes to policing, when it comes to the change of policing the world over, the British government is really good at it. Now, one of the things you would have in Britain, you would have in the Metropolitan, you would have the Commissioner. But in you would call them not the out districts, but the other departments, you call these guys in there Chief Constables of the various areas, like the Chief Constable of Cheshire, the Chief Constable of Devon and Cornwall. Right. These are the Chief Constables. But in addition to having these Chief Constables, Britain would have the Chief Inspector of Constabulary. So the Chief Inspector of Constabulary will go to all these Chief Constables to see to it that they carry out the government's policy as far as policing is concerned. And they would have to report to Parliament their findings. So that is not a politician that would be coming inside here, but that Chief Constable, like the inspector, is like the inspectorate. They call him the Chief Inspector of Constabulary. And he is the one who would visit every single police force and more or less report to Parliament.
Let me say something to you. I've just heard it. I can't prove it, but I'm hearing the situation. For instance, with the latest, if you want to call it, confusion taking place in the police force, all hinging around the famous impacts report, I am told that amongst the individuals who carried out their duties at the Lamberts and the AMU, as a result of that, officers have been moved around to different locations to the extent that some officers have refused to move. Now, I don't know, I'm only hearing that. If that is really so, then there's a certain amount of dissension in the police force. And when you talk of dissension, you can understand what's going to happen, because work ethics and morale will definitely be affected. And I honestly feel that what has gone on to date, listening to the news and listening to both sides of the story, there is absolutely no doubt that the impacts report has definitely caused some serious problems here. And listening only last night to someone giving their own diagnosis of the matter, I think it was a police officer, I'm not quite sure, who made the statement that the impacts report was merely an allegation, because in reality, if police officers were found doing anything wrong, we have a court system, and that's what should have been followed. So, by the Prime Minister giving pieces of a report and taking probably the worst part of the vote, Senate, is not acceptable. And you are a commissioner of police. You probably know far more than I do. What is your take on that?
You know, Michael, let me first say the impacts report.
Yeah.
And persons have to, a lot of people talk,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't even know how did impacts came about.
Yeah.
Who are they? What do they do? What they don't do? And I know for a fact, and I have spoken to some of my ex-colleagues, they're a lot older than me, especially one, I'm not going to mention names, and I was told, whether it's true or not, that the guys who did the investigation in impacts are highly professional guys, you know.
The Jamaicans.
The Jamaicans.
Yeah.
I was told, whether what I was told was true or false,
yes,
and I had no reasons to doubt the individuals,
right,
that even in Jamaica, the Jamaican police themselves, not fear, but they themselves know that the guys who do that investigation are highly professional.
Okay.
They do not care whether you are a policeman, they will investigate whatever they will that they have to investigate. Although I was also told that they are being financed, the organization itself. Almost all of it is financed by the Americans, right?
Okay.
I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I was told. And I am not surprised if it is financed by the Americans.
Well,
because all the commissioners of the region serve on are members of impacts.
Got you.
You see? So they should know the finances, where it's coming from. But again, I have to defend that. So a lot of people talk and talk and talk and talk, but a lot of it is speculation, because to me it is election time. So you'll get all kinds of things. And historically, when you see it's around election time, for some reason or the other, the police always seem to get involved in whatever row that goes on.
But if what you tell me
But
is...
again, as I say, here it is, these guys are very, very professional. That's one thing I was told. Now everybody's saying impacts, and you sort of... To me, if a situation like that has come in, the investigation has taken place, it has been passed to the Director of Public Prosecution. She has a role to play within it and everything. But you yourself, Mike, and myself, I have to say too, that even if a report of this nature has come in, you would still at some stage or the other maybe have to bring back some of these people if you are further going to investigate. Yes, they have done the report. They have told you they have reasons to believe that certain thing has been done. But the DPP has a role to play within it. But I'm also saying that the DPP herself, in the light of what is happening in St. Lucia today, I feel at some stage she too, I don't know if the law allows it, should make a statement and say, I am continuing to look into this matter, and by a certain time I will be able to make a statement to the powers that be, whether it be to the public, whether it be to the Prime Minister.
Okay, question for you, Consul.
But again, these things should not be allowed to hang in for so long, because while it's hanging there, it's going to create problems.
Okay, first of all, I learned something from you today, which I was not aware of, and that the people who did the impacts are very highly professional people. Fine. Secondly, you indicated that you heard it was financed by the Americans.
That is, okay. That impacts itself. Gets some of its finances.
If that is so,
that's what I was told.
But if that is so, in my view, that casts a whole new light on what you're telling me, okay? Which I'm going to buy for now. But let us assume...
Oh, that's not Michael. Don't buy anything, because the regional security system, at one time when I was there, is funded by the Americans, you know, to a large extent.
I know that, yeah.
And not only that, the Caribbean Commission, Association of Commissioners, was founded by the Americans and financed by the Americans. I was the first president.
Okay.
So I can sit here and tell you, it was founded by, as a matter of fact, it was founded right here in St. Lucia.
Okay.
I became the first president, and it was funded by the Americans. Because in a lot of these things, you're getting aid.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they control.
Yeah, and there's an old saying,
but
the man who plays the fiddle pays the tune. Who pays
the man who pays the piper owns the tune.
Correct.
I don't know, but
Now,
this
you
is
know
what
something? That having been said, Cuthbert, what are we going, what you think should be done at this point? The Prime Minister got a copy of the impacts report. He's a constitutional lawyer. He was fully aware that eventually it would have to fall in the hands of the DPP. Personally, I think the Prime Minister should have done one of two things. Either pass it to the DPP direct and advise the nation that he got this report and is done. But having taken tidbits of the most damaging part of the report and planted it in the eyes of the public, it left people with a one-sided approach, an approach of speculation. And that, as a citizen of St. Lucia, that is what I'm picking up all around the place. However, as you said, there are other ways of reviewing the whole report, but it's going to be a lengthy one for us, and we have just come to the end of the second segment of our program. We'll be right back.